You're listening to our Kobo Podcast brought to you by the cable newspaper. My name is JamJam. I know. You're like wondering, where have we been? Yes, we went on a little break. We went to, as Sabinus would say, re-strategize. All right, so today I have with me in the studio Victor. Victor would be running this show together with me. Yo, what's up, guys?
How you guys doing? It's good to be here, and I'm so sure this particular season we're going to have will be an amazing
bumper to
one.
bumper,
because we have a lot.
It's so
line out for
interesting.
you guys. So how you doing, by the way?
I'm good. How are you?
You're not looking bad.
You're not looking bad too.
Of course.
All right, so guys, today we'll be talking about the house hunting hustle in Lagos. We have with us as well in the studio Stephen Kenechi. We are all members of the Cable Gang, and I brought you house hunties. We're going to be sharing our experiences with you about the house hunting issues in Lagos, and I'm sure that you can also relate with some of these things. It's cut across board. Some people would be learning about some things for the first time, and you're like, oh, this really happens. And interestingly, you'll be learning about tips so that next time when you're going to hustle and look for houses, you know, that have it at the back of your mind that the 2 kobo these guys gave me was that I should not go and look for houses at this period, or I should go this. But then we're just going to quick break, and when we come back, we'll go into the conversation proper. Let's go anywhere.
Think news, think thecable.ng. Visit www.thecable.ng for data-driven, knowledge-based, and accurate news.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. So, guys, how has it been? Who should I go with?
Yeah, so
Who give us first?
when we came up with this topic first about house hunting in Lagos, the thought of it alone, it's a sport, as I said, and because when you look at the whole issues around it in Lagos particularly,
we have issues. Some issues are peculiar to certain states or regions, but then there is this toga that Lagos carries when it comes to.
It's the unique nature of Lagos. Then when you call Lagos the center of excellence, and then we talk about the overpopulation, the population
compared
growth.
to the small land mass, so we
So
have
that
unlimited
seems to be
and
an issue.
available houses. So
But of course, we are not going to be discussing this alone. We have Stephen in the house with us. Stephen, how you doing?
a perpetual house hunter.
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
I think at one point or the other we have actually have a reason to look for house. So let's start straight up. Like, how's it been for you? What was your experience in Lagos? And also tell us, was it mainland, island, or offland? You know what offland is? Those places that are not on the map.
Off grid.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I
mean. All
mean.
these detective movies, like he's gone off grid.
Yeah. So tell us, how was your
So
experience?
I think much of my experience was on the mainland. Actually, it's been challenging. It's been interesting as well. I mean, the very idea of going through some of those challenges is that it teaches you certain things about house hunting, the places where you live, and what to expect of it. So over the last 4 years, I would say, I've had reason to do house hunting on 2 different occasions. So I had to move from where I was staying before, and then I recently got somewhere else.
Does it get
much
better?
recently.
You've had to search houses twice. Did it get better? Your experience, or
of course,
okay?
it got better because I already knew what to expect. A lot
So
of
you were
time.
ready for them?
There are certain engagements I had to remove myself from.
Yeah.
I knew what to expect from certain people, and then how to place myself at a much
advantage,
better bargaining advantage. Yeah.
Let's talk from the place of agent, because I know most of
That's
these
where you
things
start from.
from
Your research,
agent.
from
So
research,
where
you
did
move
yours
them
start
to.
from?
When looking for a house in a city like Lagos, typically you have to engage a housing agents. Some of these agents, they charge you a fee. They charge a fee. They take you around to some of the available houses. They have a broad network. Most of them are interconnected. So each agent has a specific location within the state or within the city where much of the operation covers. So, but they have a wide network whereby they get to communicate and know where houses are available and where they aren't. So you engage them, they bill you a certain fee. Usually it's often a percentage, a certain percentage of the rent.
Total package.
Yeah, of the rent itself. So there's the agent who is going to bill you, and then there is typically you have to also engage the lawyer, the landlord deals with. So you have to pay that one as well, and then and then you have to pay a caution fee as well on the property you're looking to rent. So if you typically when you are doing house hunting, there are a couple of things we look out for. I mean, depending on your priorities, you're looking out for where it's much more proximate for you. It might be closer to places where your relatives stay, or maybe somewhere, maybe your workplace. You have to take that into cognizance, and then you have looking out for locations that are secure. You want to take cognizance of security, ensure that
you also want to look at the power supply, electricity,
the power supply,
Sure. Very important.
Yeah, some of those things. So you take depending on some of those factors, the range, the price range, it differs. Obviously in Lagos you have the mainland, you have the island. Houses are much more expensive on the island, and all these things come together to create a very, very unique experience.
Typically, when you like, how has it been for you looking for house? People are like, you've had crazy experiences. What were those things that you're like, no, I can't do?
Especially the part I feel that I want you to talk about is, if you're paying a particular fee for the agent, are they giving you a particular house that you say you want, and what is the duration of your payments?
If you pay for houses and they can't find it, what happens?
What happens? Is it that they're going to...
You pay for them to go search another location,
house,
or once you pay off, they must deliver?
Exactly. Is it a one-time payment of, let's say, 10,000, 20,000, and they must get you an apartment of your choice?
This is how it happens, right? As part of the general payment you're going to make for the house, when it is eventually found, the agent has a cut. Depending on the price of the house. For example, if you get a house of 500,000 naira on the mainland in Lagos here, the agent's fee, the amount you're going to pay the agent could be around 70,000 naira, up to 70,000 naira. But this is quite different. Some of them actually do this extortionist practice where they bill you first before they get to move out with you to search for houses. They bill you first. Certainly, usually a negligible fee. Some of them will tell you have to fill forms of up to 5,000 naira. It depends on the person you're engaging. If it is, a lot of times they end up not getting.
I've heard you have to even pay for fuel for them to transport you down.
You have to transport them.
And that is different from the agent fee.
That is different from the main agency fee.
Why are they acting like police? You have to, police, when you have to fuel the van before they go out and do investigation.
And remember, what we're talking about is on the mainland. The reality is totally different. When you talk about the island, it's much more expensive.
So some of the issues that we've come across, people have come across and reported during house hunting, we have gender profiling based on gender, ethnicity, religion, and some of this. Do you experience any of that?
Oh yeah. I think it happens to everybody. It teaches you certain things about.
When you say it happens to everybody, it comes to me across like it's normal.
It has become so commonplace that it begins to feel normal. It begins to feel normal. I mean, these are some of the things you have to look out for. Obviously, the owner of the property, the landlord, has certain specifications. What they are looking out for in a potential, tenant. Some of them, they have certain ethnic sentiments. You see some of them. They openly tell you, I don't want an Igbo person. Some of them tell you, okay, the next person I'm looking out for it should be Yoruba. They might have their way of actually mixing up the ethnicities, balancing out the ethnicities.
But I wonder what is trying to gain from that.
I think the idea is that people of various ethnicities, they come with certain unique character traits.
So if you pick right,
if you mix it up right,
you cannot get it all wrong, and it's manageable.
But again, will you want to blame the landlord? Let me give you an instance. Lagos seems to be the home for everybody.
You've also been house hunted.
Exactly.
So
and coupled with the investigation I did earlier on the story now, I realized that Lagos is the home for everybody. It means that every tribe lives in Lagos. So if, for instance, as a landlord, let's say I'm a particular landlord in Lagos, and I'm getting a particular tribe, and they seems to be giving me issue, I already have a perception about that particular tribe. It will make me not want to actually give them room. For instance, in the story I did, I realized that even in this same Lagos, a Yoruba man never wanted a Yoruba person to live in his house.
Based on the
idea is that, they are really dirty, they don't know how to, and that is his own perception. You get such kind of person.
He doesn't want to take that risk again.
Exactly. So, in other words, those are people's experience. It often coupled with the tribe. So I'm trying to say that it's not even an Igbo thing, it's not a Yoruba thing, it's not even a Calabar thing. It is just what is happening in Lagos. But another thing I want to pick JamJam on is the part of gender. See, that part is even quite interesting because
gender this time, even if you're a guy or you're a lady.
Exactly.
Because if you're a guy, based on the fact that you're a guy, there are certain things they want you to, conditions you have to meet before you are given a house. If you're a lady, certain conditions you have to meet. So for example, you're a lady. Okay, they call us the weaker vessel. They call us because me, I'm not weak.
That's what it is.
So you're going to look for a house and then you meet the agent. The agent might not even have a problem, but then you meet the landlord and he looks at you like, okay. So unfortunately for you, if you're looking from the physical profiling, if you're looking like a babe, in quotes, he's looking like, okay, is she responsible?
How can you afford
yes,
this kind of apartment?
So who do I go to? And because men tend to want to protect us, whether you ask for it or not. That intuition is just there that, okay, I now become responsible for this lady. So if she were married, it is her husband, or if she were living with her brother, it is their responsibility to cater for her. If by 10 p.m. rather, she's not back home, it is not, the onus is not on me to worry where she is or what is happening. So as a woman, he might feel, the landlord will feel like, okay, he bears that extra burden of accounting for your safety or whatever. So if you're not married, they don't want to give you houses. But when you come with a man, even if sometimes you go with your boyfriend and you post, they would ask, are you sure you're married? Or provide evidence that you're married. Not that, okay, married. When this guy comes with you, when you've gotten the accommodation and then the guy just disappears.
It's crazy. There's a particular experience as regards to, it's a job for the agent. It's part of the package of when you're getting an apartment. And the package is the agent will look for somebody that will stand in as a man or like a husband or somebody, a shorty for you, so that the landlord can give you a house, right? I understand the part whereby you're trying to be sure, to be careful.
And if you look at it, this isn't even peculiar or just a one-time thing. The thing with house hunting. If you also have police cases, you have to. Some police agents will say that no, that a lady can't come and bail. It has to be a man. Why? So some of these things, I feel like we begin to have to challenge these things that are some sort of becoming norm. Because it disrupts the whole essence of being, your person.
There's something we're living out actually. You have to note that this particular reality is not just restricted to the women.
Okay.
Men, it happens with men as well. I've had to do the initial time I was actually doing house hunting. The agent actually insisted that I get somebody who is going to stand in as a potential partner. Somebody I'm dating.
So if I'm single,
so he seemed to have a problem with the fact that I was single.
So does it mean that if I'm not in a relationship, I have to stay with my parents?
You can't be responsible. Is that what they're trying to say?
So there is a relationship.
How did you feel with that kind of experience?
I was taken aback, honestly, because he at a point he was even suggesting that I falsify some of my personal details on it,
just to
be able to. Agent.
Yeah, the agent is
before he goes to the landlord with.
Before he goes to the landlord with it, he was asking me to falsify some of my details on the entry form, and then indicate that I had somebody who have a lot of interest who I'm beginning to get married to in a couple.
And you don't have a love interest
at the time.
So you're still single like this.
We're going to that.
You know where he's coming from now. Exactly. You don't want any catfish.
Yes. So it's not easy. But that's actually a reality, and I like the fact that you brought it from the part of the guy, so it's more look at it. I've heard the awkward one that you have to come in early. You don't have to.
Timing.
Jesus Christ.
Sometimes if you want to look at it objectively, some of these reasons, it's not just biases. They have their
reasons, right?
They have reasons. So if a landlord is putting a time frame of say 11 p.m. or 10 p.m., you want to consider security peculiarities of the area. Or you have had the
particular tenant that misused the opportunity of coming anytime.
So sometimes some people would even come in that late. So example, there's someone that is that drinks. Okay, there's a drunk and he just enters the compound. It's late and then he leaves the gate open, exposing everyone to the factors, all the so the insecurities that are out there. So they want to put a cap on the time that you're allowed in or out of the compound for security reasons. And some people just want to wield that power. I'm the landlord. It's my house, and whatever I say, you do. And those are the kind of things that if you can explain, if you can make the tenants understand that this is the reason. I think that's another thing. If we can sit down and have a conversation that this is why it is, not just throwing or dishing out your power that he said this so you have to do it. So if you can understand why this person is giving this vibe, so it helps.
It actually helps. I've seen cases whereby you will drop your name, they will go do investigation on you, and all. That is also fine because you need to know who is living in you. But let me ask you guys this individual question.
Ask us when we come back from this short break.
Okay,
we'll be right back.
Think news, think thecable.ng. Visit www.thecable.ng for data-driven, knowledge-based, and accurate news.
back, guys. You're still listening to our Kobo Podcast, brought to you by the Cable newspaper. Before we went on that short break, Victor wanted to ask us.
Why are you scared already? So I wanted to ask the question as regards to what do you think individually? What do you think about having your landlord live in the same house with you? I've seen people have issues with that. Let me go with Steven. Steven, what do you think about that?
I think there's a positive and there's a negative to it as well.
Yeah.
And if you have the landlord living with you in the same compound, the thing is they tend to scrutinize almost everything that goes on in the building. It creates a sort of a tense
atmosphere.
A tense atmosphere for some of the
Wanting
tenants
to be
involved.
You want to be conscious of everything.
You see situations where the landlord is making rules on every single thing that has to do with the tenants in the house. I'm not saying it's bad, but it creates this sort of conflict between the landlord and the tenants. I've seen situations where tenants in the compound don't even want to talk to the landlord at all.
But which
they don't want to have to engage with you beyond when their rent is due. Once you pay the rent, and then I have nothing to do with you anymore. So there are situations like that, and then in cases where the landlord doesn't live in the same compound, you could have situations whereby issues that affect the collective well-being of the tenants. There's no central person there to oversee it. So everybody basically does anything they like.
But there's a simple solution to that. So for our compound, we have a WhatsApp group where every member of the year is there, so we can just discuss our issues there. Everybody's. But for houses where you have the landlord, of course they are overseeing the eye of God. They want to see everything because they want to protect their property. Sometimes, or maybe because I have too many space and I want to make money out of it. I have a house of 4 flats and I'm just living in one. Let me just monetize the others. It creates that he just wants to watch and see that you can maintain. I know someone that does not allow the tenant to put dirt in the compound. So once you create your dirt, you have to take it out. It's there's nothing like there are waste bins where you dump it and then the waste management guys will come and pick it. No, I don't want dirt in my compound. But the landlord himself has a small family. So they make little dirt compared to the tenant. So whenever they are going out, they just pick it. It's single little dispose of it and wherever. I don't know how they dispose of it. And then they expect that the tenants, whether you are 10 or whatever debt you are able to generate, don't keep it. It can be a little bit difficult for someone like that. So if the landlord was not in the compound, they would probably it would be easier. I can understand because when you leave dirt to pile up, especially when these waste management agencies fail, rodents and then decay, the stains, and there are some people that are clean freaks. I don't know what they call them, and they don't want any of that. Living with the landlord is sometimes they want to impose their way of life on you when they are there. You can't do this because they are there. If they were not there, you would have the freedom to explore some of these. So they want sometimes they pitch you against the comparison, like, okay, this person is doing this. It's not this one that has paid the house rent since you have not paid it. Maybe you just bought this car. If it was not, if it was not,
that's another thing.
You are paying. You see the school your child is going to. Your child is going to this school. You have paid the school fees is this amount. You have paid it.
You're cooking a particular soup or stew.
That's horrible. I perceive
exactly.
It was pepper soup and you were using goat's meat in this economy. But you say you don't have money to pay my house rent. Some of those things.
To an extent, I think the personality of the landlord involved also tells a lot. So if
it's not
he or she
is kind of landlord,
if he's the kind of person that has
it's like you've had
a very ideal way, a way of
the way she said it.
So it depends on the way they approach things. Actually, there are people who will talk to you, and then the way they present themselves, they come across as very, very respectful. They respect your privacy, but they still get to tell you how they prefer things to be done with the compound.
It's not personal.
Everybody has there's mutual understanding there.
I think I totally agree with you. But dear my landlord, I'm grateful you're not with us living in the same compound. In case you're watching or listening to this,
so you don't want to have him.
I don't want to be seeing him every time.
So if when you become, are you a landlord?
Not yet a landlord.
Not yet. So when you become a landlord, would you want to stay in the compound? Yeah, guys.
I think I'll be a good landlord.
That's not what I asked. But stop dodging the question. You see.
So if I have my own apartment, would I want to stay in the same?
And put tenants living with you?
I don't. think the kind of apartment I want to have will be an apartment where I will have to be seeing my neighbor, my tenant.
So you think like, okay, you have your own, you can build another property and then give it out for rent and then just detach yourself. And some people even explore the same space. They just create a fence and cut them out. So I think one thing we should reflect on, because it's easy to just complain and talk. These issues that we are critiquing, when we find ourselves in that situation, when we become landlords, how would we react? So when your agents are bringing tenants for you, what kind of questions do you want to ask? If you see a guy that comes with all of the tattoo injuries and you can see that, okay, he has the dreads, baggy, saggy, dirty torn trousers and all of that, are you going to profile or not?
Yeah, so that's one thing I want to address, the issue of profiling. I think that as a human nature, we all profile people.
Yeah.
We all profile people.
Consciously or unconsciously, you just find yourself.
I know how much I've been paying just going to the market because I'm wearing a earring or I make my hair. They will just look at you and assume you have money. So that profiling thing is...
But you have money. Victor, do you have money?
I like it. Victor, money. Yeah. So yes, I have the money actually. I have money. I'm a sugar daddy.
You guys, bill him. When you see him, bill
me. Okay. But in a more serious note, the part of profiling, it happens. I know this is going to cause a lot of controversy because people have said that police profile people. I think after profiling is what happened next after profiling that I'm actually concerned about. Yeah. The profile thing is, I think, is a human
the decision
nature.
That follows.
That happens.
What you make with the result of the years.
So for instance, let me give a practical example. I saw a policeman that stopped me. And I stopped. The bike man was trying to speed because he was trying to protect me, in quotes. And I was
maybe because he already feels too that you're a Yahoo guy.
Exactly.
So let him not
he has actually profiled me, right? So when I stopped, the guy just said, good afternoon, sir. I was like, Nigerian police. Good afternoon, sir. I felt so like, so he said, can I check your bag, sir? That was what he was saying. I opened my bag. It was my laptop.
Why was this sounding so nice?
Exactly. They did not ask me, what do you do? I saw I'm a journalist. Then I bought up my ID card. I said, have a good day, sir.
I
mean, I was even shocked that. So
like that.
Exactly. So profiling happens. So if I have an apartment, our parents profile people.
Yeah.
Me, I've profiled people before. You cannot beat me. I profiled people before. But the truth is that what happened next afterwards? So if I have an apartment and I see a guy coming, let me profile Steven. I like Steven now. He's looking like this Yahoo, but I just cash out with the air, right? So let's assume somebody like Steven now. I'll probably will have an idea about like, okay, people that usually make their, this is what they do. Right? So if Steven is coming, then the question will not be like, what further investigation will I want to do?
So now that might not make you to do researches on
for that double check
what he does, ask about the hood he's coming from and ask about
much of the agents we've been having recently, a lot of them they've been putting in extra work, on running background checks on potential tenants. These days you want to rent an apartment on mainland, for example, and then they go as much they go as far as calling the places where you work. They make calls.
True.
They visit those places. You have to give them very
this is serious.
Details.
This is serious.
You give them details. When you see the landlord is very educated.
You tell them where you work. You give them the designation, your job designation. You have to give them vivid description of what it is you do. So
I think that is actually fair.
I think it's a bit extreme. At the same time,
because you're coming to live in my property. I need to know what you do because I don't know. I think sometimes I don't know if it is legal. The landlord can be maybe
blamed for
you don't have background information, because the truth is that if anything happens to your tenant, there's this assumption that you have details about
Thank you about that. I know someone that was in a house and there was an alleged Yahoo man, because this is not even a guy, he's a man, he has a family. So this guy also lives there. He's single. No, there is a responsible guy and then there is a Yahoo man with his family, but this guy is single. So one day, it was even the caretaker that helped him. They knew that he was the Yahoo guy after he came into the compound with a wife and kids, and a kid or two kids, I'm not quite sure now. So something happened with him, and some of his boys would come around and they would argue, fight. You know how they behave now. Sometimes they have money issues and they are blowing up. So something happened, and then I think one of them had reported to the police, and the police was coming to Olopa was coming to call everybody. Olopa for everybody. So the caretaker learned of it. So he called this other guy that's single and told him, are you at home? He said, yes. He said, stay inside, don't come out. Because these guys are fighting and the police will come and arrest. And if they come out and they meet, you know how our police behave now, they will just carry everybody. Everybody will just carry everybody. So it was it. So I don't think another thing that helped him was because the caretaker had profiled him and figured him out to be irresponsible. So if he knew that, if he thought that you're all one and same, I was like, And all of them,
Exactly.
Jerry.
I don't think there is any harm in running background checks on potential tenants. You find out where they are working, places where they work, what they do. I think it's normal. I think the danger in not doing so is that it predisposes you to making certain assumptions about potential tenants, and then deciding on the basis of that whether or not you're going to rent houses to them. Yeah, I had an agent I engaged with when I was doing my last house hunting, and unknown to me, the agent had already decided that maybe this guy is into internet fraud, because he had already assumed that he's looking to move from here to this place. He's probably trying to evade the EFCC.
Yeah.
He had already made certain assumptions. He told me point blank, you are into internet fraud. He basically asked me. There was another. I don't know if that decided whether that. I don't know if it is on the basis of that he ended up eventually not renting to me. Because I tried to convince him as much as I could, but it ended up not working out between us. And then there was another one who told me point blank that even if I'm into internet fraud, that I should feel free to. He was trying to get me to admit that I was into internet fraud. And then
don't worry, this is a safe space for you.
Exactly.
There is something that these people that engage in internet fraud, there's a way they attract each other. You find them,
living in clusters. It makes it very easy for security operatives to clamp down on them.
And also because it's a network. So you find out that places where they are, there is relatively high house prices because they have the money to give out.
To throw at the landlords.
Exactly.
They throw money at the landlords.
They don't know what it means to make money.
But they are making money.
They don't know what it means to make money.
They are making it.
And that leads us to the conversation of the high cost of living in Lagos and then the high cost of rent, and then you're getting. Somebody told me today that they're paying over 350k for one room. In one small room.
Those kind of rooms in Lagos where you have to be walking like this. You can't go straight. You have to.
God. The high cost of it.
Some people can't stay in the kitchen.
It is really, really expensive.
Now, the problem. This is the problem in Lagos, right? You have a state with a population of over 20 million. About 20 million people. There is a significant
based on land mass.
We have a land mass. The space in Lagos that is actually made up of actual land, I think is 999 square kilometer. It's made up of land. Then you have on that small space of land, you have over 20 million people, and then I think it is estimated that you have about 555,000 people moving to Lagos every year on a yearly basis.
You can say that.
And then Lagos, the population of Lagos grows at about, is estimated, I think according to the World Economic Forum, it's estimated to increase per hour by around over 80 people.
Over 80 people daily people
per hour,
into Lagos,
every hour. This is when you compare that to a city like London. When you compare that to a city like London, you have 9 persons. The population of London increasing by 9% per hour. This is despite the fact that London has the land mass is about 1,500 over 1,500 square kilometers of land space. If you look at that, how the size of Lagos and the size of London, you compare the amount of people that are living here.
Issues of regulation. Where does the government come in all of this? So apparently what is happening is that we have limited resources, in this case land and infrastructure. So many people wanting to take out of or to use, and then it's not enough.
And you can't stop anybody from coming into
you can't send them back. So even when we talk about a house hunting or house renting regulations, there are no government policies that guide these things, and that is why you see that every man makes his rules. Every landlord or house owner or landowner makes his rule, and then tenants have to follow. But if you look at it from a broader perspective, you now have millions of Lagosians mentally exhausted because of something that is common, because of something that happens every day. So apart from the traffic and every other thing that is maddening in Lagos, you want to look for a roof over your head and that of your family, and you have to go through this strenuous and mentally draining process. Because mental health is something very important. I think as much as we want to just overlook it, you have to go to work.
Sure. You
have to do every other thing, and you still have to create time to find houses. And when you find something that suits your purpose, something that you want to do, based on the fact that you are putting on a earring, or because you're not married, or because you are single, or because you have tattoos or whatever, or because like Victor, you have dreads, or so you made your hair, based on that single reason, you are denied. It's not. I don't think it's something that should be just let to play out.
Yes.
There should be some form of intervention, some censorship. I don't know how it is going to happen because it's my property, but I don't know how the government is going to come in and do a little bit of regulation.
There should. It is actually needed because and funny enough, that some of these challenges we are talking about is not ending anytime soon.
No.
Reason is because of, just like you said, every hour people are coming into Lagos. The more the infrastructure in Lagos is actually increasing and getting better, the more people want to test.
Come. Yes.
Do you know that when I was in Benin, right? Some persons haven't been to Lagos before. Lagos is like is a dream state to be in. Now, the more the infrastructure is increasing, now we are seeing train and everything. People want to come into the Lagos. So the same room you can afford, you because you've lived in Lagos, you can't pay 300k or 500k for just one small room. Somebody will come in and want to get it,
of course,
right? Yes. And will pay for it. And one of the best solutions to deal with issues like this is, because we're talking about solutions now, is that government should find a way to establish other state, because the abusive relationship that we have with Lagos, I have been in abusive relationship with Lagos for more than 30 years, and it's not really fun, right? So if, for instance, state like, let me give you an instance, I've lived in Enugu before, right? Enugu is a cool city to live in. Let's assume Enugu has structures, have industrial revolution in
or
that
even
state.
nearby states like Oyo, Ogun
State.
A lot of other states as well, to
and
limit the population pressure on Lagos.
If we have a functioning transport system where you can live in Lagos and work in Ibadan or something like that, we just
why
have to
will
spread.
I be killing myself and be doing all those things, right?
So
For instance, you mentioned Ogun State. Ogun State is very close to Lagos. Let's assume that there is a good network between Ogun State. How many bike you can come to Lagos? No, bike. I'm not tired of bike. But then, let's start talking about good transport system, and then other states doing what they're supposed to do, right? I think that will actually help.
And I think even sometimes this rush into Lagos, it's not even about what people understand about the reality. It's just the perception that, this is how Lagos is. And that is how we got to where we are
Come, let's
today.
tell you how Lagos is.
Come and feel it for yourself.
There's a lot of economic activity going on in Lagos.
Yes.
I mean, Lagos is the commercial nerve center of Nigeria. Much of the companies are based either in Lagos here or
they have their headquarters here.
You have to get here. There's a significant migration from other states into Lagos. That's putting a pressure on the housing units that are available for all of us to explore.
Maybe Lagos should just buy land into Ogun and the nearby states and increase it. We are filling up the waters. We are forcing the land to come in. Maybe Lagos should just buy Ogun and say, this is Lagos and
extended Lagos. So, but then again, as we said, the solutions, I don't know when that is going to happen.
I think it's both personal and as persons, individuals, and then the government should try and play a little role and see how it can come in and regulate the real estate industry.
I think the problem Lagos has is not the availability of housing units. I think the problem is availability of affordable housing. There's house everywhere in Lagos.
That's interesting.
There is house. If you need a house today, you can literally get it.
It's not about if you have the money.
It's affordability.
That's what I want to ask you. Now, talking about are these houses worth this money? That's another thing. So if you're talking about affordability, this house that is going for 2 million, is it worth it, or you feel like they're just
it is not. In a lot of cases, it's not actually. You see, there's the housing problem in Lagos has to do with the demand and supply. There's a lot of demand. There's a lot of demand, and then little supply.
If the supply is there, why is there a problem?
Now, the supply is there. You get the supply.
I don't want to believe that we have enough houses.
There is actually supply. There's supply.
The issue about supply.
How affordable are they? That is the problem. You have houses in Lekki, in high-brow areas of Lagos,
right? You see a lot of real estate agents developing different
in economics they say the higher the demand, the higher the prices.
It reduces competition among real estate those who do real estate business,
which also shows the kind of shabby kind of construction they are doing.
They give out,
and people have to stick because you have to live somewhere.
Exactly.
You have to live somewhere, and then let's not even go into the conversation about how much one person is earning and how realistic is is paying rent, transportation, among other things. So it's a whole lot of conversation. I don't think we can actually finish that in one episode.
Let's even just wrap it up on this note. So you have to be original. You have to be yourself. So would you advise that if someone is going to rent an apartment or get a space, you should make yourself or try to edit yourself to conform with
what the landlord is saying.
Would be expecting. So for example, you remove your earrings, probably wear a cap to cover your dreads.
Yeah, you have to compromise. You have to compromise to an extent. Yeah.
Especially when
I think in that way would be giving them the power to continue with. Do we confront it or just blend in or find a way to just?
I think everybody blends in eventually. The landlord gets to accept certain things while you know the rules.
So everybody. So you're saying how we have to resolve these issues, that everybody should reach a compromise.
No, yeah. I think people have different way of solving issues. Sometimes they said the first impression matters, right? So you're giving an impression that you're a cool person, so that the person can accept you and get to know you. Then you can now show the other part of you, right?
So when you now get to this, when you finally get this space, and then you remove your face cap and you see that you have dreads and tattoo, wouldn't it seem like you mago your way in?
Personally, I would love my landlord to accept me the way I am first, because there's more coming. I will even give you that.
But then when you realize that if you are the way you are, you end up living under the bridge.
Exactly. So especially when you've loved a particular house, so what do you do? So because this baby boy life is just starting for me, there are many other things that are left to come in, So I need my landlord to understand that this guy here is a baby boy and he has a lot of things to be done. Yeah. We have not even done
you want
tattoo.
To chop life.
We have not even plaited the hair. So accept me for who I am.
And I cannot be homeless because I want to
exactly
do that.
Right.
Alright guys, this is where we'll be wrapping it up on this episode, and we've been talking about all the hustles and all the issues around house hunting in Lagos. And it's not peculiar to Lagos. Other states also have their issues, but there is just this thing about Lagos where everything is raised to power or whatever. So we would like for you to share your thoughts with us. The conversation continues. Share with us on all our social media platforms, the Cable NG on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. What are your house hunting experiences? What are those things that you've encountered? The questions that you've been asked, how you were profiled because you wanted to get a space. But most importantly, tell us how you were able to navigate your way and overcome these issues, and what you think should be done about these issues, because in the end what we all want is less stressful and interesting, safer life, somewhere to stay and have a roof over your head and be happy and comfortable. When you have to go through these processes just to get a space, it is draining. So what do you think should be done about these issues? You think the government should come in, or some form of regulations or whatever? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Also, thank you so much, Stephen, for joining us.
Yes,
we really
Stephen, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
I hope that in the future, when you have to search for more houses, when you finally,
I don't look to do that anytime soon.
Okay, so Stephen is not going to. Next thing is his house.
Exactly.
So if you don't want to go and build your house, or you not build them, do them if easy. So you said you go be landlord, but we'll see what you go do.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you guys. It's been an interesting conversation, and I'm so much looking forward to the next episode. Until see you guys next time. This is our Kobo
Podcast.
Yeah.